on, y'all? It's your boy Gibbons here.
And I'm Will C.
And welcome to yet another episode of the Achromous podcast. If you are new to the Achromous podcast, you need to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell so that the next time you get an opportunity to go on YouTube, we will be the very first video on your newsfeed. And most of all,
it is free to do so.
Unbelievable.
If you didn't know, now you know.
Unbelievable.
So, yeah, it's free, guys. So make sure to do all those things Jay just told you. Subscribe. Make sure you hit that like button. Get the notifications. We want to make sure you're getting all the content we're delivering to you, and that you're able to share that information as well. We want to spread the word. We want to continue to grow the Achromous community, grow what it represents, and to continue to build those healthy habits together.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself, man. It has been quite the week. Now, I don't know how many people out there are NFL fans or sports fans, whatever, but the Washington football team has gone through quite the week this past week. Of course,
yes.
This Sunday, we will be honoring the late, great Sean Taylor. I have been a huge fan of him ever since he was at Miami, and then he went into the league and he was drafted by the formerly known Redskins, and turned out to be a very short career because of his untimely murder, but one of the greatest athletes I've ever seen play professional sports. I've never seen somebody that big, that fast, that strong fly around with completely reckless abandon and be such a great player in general. So of course the Washington football team and ownership had to bungle this one because they gave the fans a 3 days notice before he's actually going to have his jersey retired. Of course, if you're watching ESPN, you're watching news, you know what happened with John Gruden, you know what happened with Raiders, and you know what's happening with the 650,000 plus emails that they have to go through and see what comes of it. But of course we would do this at a time like this because we want to make people distracted by the Sean Taylor legacy and not focus on the damage that our ownership has caused to the team again. And it makes me sick. It does, because out of everything that we've gone through, whether it's RG3 or Kirk Cousins or whomever, this Sean Taylor was something that was sacred to our city. When you're talking about football, especially for someone around our age or people around our age who've not been able to, take part in the celebration of winning championships back in the early 90s. So to now have to be a part of this when all these different things are going on, and now his jersey is going to be retired. The timing is sick, but nonetheless, what a great player, what a great athlete. Such a sad and untimely death. But it's a player that we'll now never forget because nobody else will ever wear his jersey on our team. So it was something that was long overdue. But they are finally able to put that to bed, put that to rest, and put that number exactly where it belongs in the rafters. So
yeah, I agree completely, Jay. Long overdue. We never really got the chance to see his true potential, but the stuff of greatness, and you knew what you were getting every single time he was on the field. And at that point, my life as an adult, at that point, it was kind of like, man, had I been, in football at the exact time that when he was playing, the passion that would have just provided me to just step my game up to a whole new level would have just been something out of this world. He was special in a way that even those who weren't, Redskin fans at the time, you knew he was special, and it was felt. What the unfortunate incident and timely fashion of his, passing was felt. And it was something that one of those moments you just don't forget. And it's unfortunate as it is that The timing is the way it is with, the retirement of his jersey. Just appreciative as a fan as well that, it is happening, and, giving, credit and respecting his legacy for what it was. And that was
Right.
greatness.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, there'll never be another quite like him. I mean, they're NFL players now that, they emulate his game or at least try their best to. Landon
Mhm.
Collins being one, Cam Chancellor being another. And for years to come, people are they're gonna watch his highlights on YouTube, and they're just gonna rack their brain around how gifted of an athlete this guy was,
Yeah.
and how impactful his career has been on the league, though it's been so short.
Mhm.
So that's something that we'll never forget. Rest in peace once again, Sean. I'm glad that they're finally doing that jersey justice by retiring it officially.
Mhm.
And we can now move on to losing more games, as we do every year. That's nothing. That's never going to change. Obviously, that's just it's
Yeah.
who we are. It's who we are, and I will die on that sword. I'm fine with that. But
Yep.
look, I mean, last week I know we also talked about some of the most effective ways to lower stress, and let me tell you that 4-4-8 method. When I heard the news of Sean Taylor's jersey and retiring, with the timing and all the other stuff going on, I needed to do that immediately. So I did my 10 cycles just so I wouldn't, throw the TV out the window or throw a fit or go crazy. But it has really helped. It really does. Not
Mhm.
only that, but journaling and sort of removing myself from social media for a little while, especially throughout the day if I'm focused on work or focused on other things. I've been able to have a much clearer mind and get a lot more done. So it's been those strategies have been really effective and they've shown up in my life as well. How about you?
Uh, that's absolutely great to hear, Jay. I've actually done the exact same thing. Just, with social media, just cut it down significantly. My presence, and just kind of been focusing on myself. A lot of life events has been happening outside of, that world, and what it represents, and just kind of growing and just pulling more into my faith lately. And the 4-4-8 method was definitely was and is a very helpful process that I've been embracing as well. So, you know, I had some folks reach out to me like, "Hey, what's up? Where you been?" And I'm like, "Look, right now, I've been focusing on myself, and
Yeah.
I am, and there you just have to take that time to invest into yourself to bring out the better version of yourself that you seek for you.
Right.
And again, ultimately, those who care about you, they'll understand, and they'll be the support system you need to be. They need to be for you, give you the space and the time that you need, and it'll be an understanding because some folks they don't always take that well, right? And they
Right.
make it about them. And they're like, oh well, I guess you don't want to be cool with me anymore. So kudos. And it's like, hey, if
Yeah.
you see it that way, it's unfortunate, but everyone should want to take those moments and those steps to kind of work on themselves. And frankly speaking, as we said on last week's episodes, it is a form of an addiction.
Mhm.
And you're seeking unrealistic validation virtually.
Yep.
So it's
Yep.
like, for me, I was like, okay, there's certain things I need to work on about myself, for different reasons, and part of the healing process, and just working on certain things that I've continued to grow through.
Mhm.
And honestly, I feel much better. It's almost as if like I've been draining my essence of toxicity, and like, that, like venom, it's what it feels like.
Yeah.
So it's just been a good process, and I'm going to continue to refrain and pull back. Like, I did, at some point, later this week, in the later part, before today, went and just did a little check-in with a few folks to let them know, hey, I'm okay. Responded
Mhm.
to some folks I know that genuinely care. Hey, we're good, we're still cool.
Mhm.
This is what's going on, this is what I'm doing. And I did receive good feedback from them and good support, and they're like, hey, just care, just want to check in, make sure you're good.
Right.
I support you, continue to do your thing, continue to work on yourself, because mental health awareness is a big thing. And
Mm.
I think you got to really take those moments to just kind of let it all soak in, grow through it, and process it.
Yeah.
Stop the process it. And that's what I've been doing, as a whole. So That's not to say this week hasn't been strenuous, because it has been. It's been
Right.
quite the week, as we discussed prior to
Absolutely,
the
yes.
episode.
Yep.
But all in all, just working on those ways to kind of lower that stress factor, and really give me the love and attention, support that I need for myself.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been putting to work, Jay.
Yeah, I mean, look, putting in that work for yourself is it's very, very important, you know. I think when we're always on the social media, when we're always on our phones, sometimes we lose track of time itself, and we just have to remove ourselves from those distractions sometimes, and get back to where we used to be before we were introduced to those distractions and those other forms of communication that have now destroyed some lives, quite frankly. So I'm glad you were able to move away, but at the same time, I'm glad that there's a community out there that loves you, that cares for you, that wants to make sure that you're doing fine, and they reached out in kind to make sure that you were. And I also want to give a special shout out to a friend that's been close to me for quite some time, since high school. We played football together, trained together. He's one of the funniest people I've met, but most of all, he's a very genuine, kind soul, very caring, always has been supportive regardless what I was doing, or you were doing, whatever. Labelle Williams, man, every single week he's one of the first men, one of the first people in general to send a DM to us, to
Yes.
message us and say, I love this episode, I love what you said about this, I love these gems that you've put out there, I really love what you guys are doing, keep it up. And it's literally every week. This isn't something that he has to do, or he wants to do because he's owed something or anything like that. He's doing it because he genuinely loves what he's hearing, and he is so appreciative that he would hit us up and let us know. So had to give that shout out to him because I know how supportive he's always been,
Mhm.
and we truly appreciate that support. It just goes to show you that there are people in our community, even those who have not reached out yet, that are feeling what we're saying, that agree with what they're saying, that they're not only listening, but they're taking action and implementing the strategies in their lives, and they are also seeing results. So there's nothing better than that. There's nothing better than the action phase of what we do, because the proof is there. As long as you put in that work, you put in that action, you will see those results that we are talking about. So I think it's very important to just give out that shout out to him, and let him know, man, we're very thankful, we're very appreciative, and just keep listening.
Yes, thank you, Labelle. Seriously, we do appreciate you, brother. And yeah, as he does as well, spreading the word, and that's what we're
Mhm.
hoping that we can continue to push throughout the community to
Yeah,
spread it, spread these gems that we're sharing with the world, and that we're receiving as well.
yeah,
We want to give credit where it's due. We want to make sure that you understand that, as much as we want to give the information, we want to receive it as well, so we can build healthy habits that's going to become a global thing. That's what we're hoping to do, because we
yep,
really want to make a change, uh, outside of what has been, in the topics and things we talk about, that most people tend to shy away from, or are looking to be subjective to, that's beneficial to their own interests. And
yep,
we really have nothing here to gain, but just what we seek is growth for
absolutely.
ourselves first and
Mhm.
foremost, and with the community, with people who are like-minded, because that's
Exactly.
how you grow, and that's how you sustain it as well.
Exactly. And I know there are people out there that they're listening to what we're putting out there. They're jotting down their notes, they're implementing it in their life immediately, and they're seeing those results. But then they're wondering, well, how can I share more of what I'm going through? Not just, hitting the share button on Facebook or Instagram or wherever, but literally let other people know the brand that is representing me in such a great light. Well, you look no further than the achromastore.com, because at the achromastore.com, you can get a hoodie like this.
See that there?
It's right
Yeah.
here. You can get something like this on the achromastore.com right now. And I tell you what, all you need to use is promo code never fall. That is promo code never fall, and you get 25% off of anything in the store.
That's anything. That's
Anything.
it's big.
Shirts,
Yeah.
bottles, socks, shorts, sweatpants, hoodies, anything in the store, 25% off right now. Just go to the achromastore.com, get a purchase, allow the brand to represent you in the best light because you matter.
You're so damn worth it. And we
Absolutely.
want to make sure that we send that message across the world.
Yep.
To anyone that comes across this, to understand that, this isn't just something that you pass by. This is something that you're seeking true growth and
Yep.
work to bring out the best version of you. This is where it starts. And that is the representation of what that looks like,
Mm-hmm.
outward of what we have to be for Achromous, to be symbolic. That's what it means so much to us and to other folks within our community who has purchased and has shown that part of the support as well. Is definitely welcomed, because it's all going into the growth and upbringing of the company. It's going into what we're bringing to everyone that's a part of it,
Yep.
so that we can do more to have a bigger outreach.
Yep.
That's exactly what this is for. So it's not like we're benefiting from this directly, because we have our 9 to 5s. We both have a
Yep.
good sustainable income of what we're doing,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
so what we're doing truly is an investment into the future for generations to come, is what we want to do, so that we build healthy habits, so that our children, they grow, your children, they grow, and they see the difference between reality and what we see is now, right?
Yep.
If we're being honest. And that's
Absolutely.
why we want to drive that point home right now and take that moment to try to make sure that we are on the same page and online and understand that. And that's truly what that is. That's truly why we would love to have that support. And look, if you happen to do purchase something, please use the promo code
Yep.
neverfall, get that 25% off, and then contact us. Let us know directly if you want to DM us, either individually for Jay or myself, or directly to the podcast as well, to our fitness site too. Like, let us know, proudly rep it, and we'll be sure to feature you as well in an upcoming episode and give you a shout out, because we appreciate you,
Absolutely.
because you matter.
Absolutely. When we first started this, we wanted to understand exactly how we can connect with our community. How can we build a community of like-minded people? How could we build a community with athletes who matter and who know they do? And I think one of the biggest things that sets us apart from others is the fact that we are able to become so vulnerable. We're able to tell our stories exactly how they happen, without fear of being judged, without fear of being pushed around or bullied or anything like that, because they are part of our lives. Something that we've gone through in the past and things that we still may be going through now. And we're always sure that all of these episodes, as being episode 39, that we share that side of us that you may also be going through, but either A, you don't know it, or B, you don't necessarily want to confront it just yet. So we want to make sure that this community is open for those conversations. And tonight is another important conversation, as is every other episode here in the Achromous podcast. We're going to really touch on an aspect of stress, or at least something that comes from stress, that some people may not recognize too often, or it tends to be ignored, or it tends to be categorized into something else than what it is, and that's stress eating. Um, Now, in my past, I've always been a pretty hefty guy. I think the very first time I determined that I was going to be gaining some weight, so I was probably like 8 or 9 years old, and I was like, I'm a little bit chunkier than the kids around me. You know how there's always a group of friends, you guys are always going fishing, going out riding your bikes, going on sick jumps, whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
There's always that one fat kid in the group. I
Mm.
was that one fat kid.
Ah.
That was my role. I was the stereotypical fat kid. And after a while, I found fitness, but in the most, it was a really interesting way, the way I found it. Um because it wasn't necessarily like I told myself, okay, I need to get in shape, I need to eat better, I need to be healthier, but I created habits that I wasn't even aware of, and it just transformed my body. So as I'm playing ball in high school, or going to college and lifting weights and training, I'm starting to develop habits that just feel right. It just feels like me. It feels like something I know that I'm doing. But there came a point in my life where I lost sight of that. There came a point in my life where I started to blame myself because I wasn't where I wanted to be in my life. And there was a specific way that I took it out on myself, because there were times where I didn't want to be here. Not to say that I wanted to end it all, but here was not a place I wanted to be. I wanted to be anywhere but here, whether it's in space or somewhere not existing here. And the one aspect of that I didn't really understand was the consumption of food. And at first it wasn't a big issue. Like I said, I was working out in college, I was exercising, I was always active. But once I graduated, I felt lost. That I did know. I would say
Mm,
I knew that I felt lost, and
I see.
I knew that what I was doing was not something that felt good within me. It
Yeah.
didn't feel like it was somewhere I needed to be. And it wasn't the work was difficult, it wasn't the long hours, it wasn't anything like that. It just wasn't my fit. It wasn't the destiny that I felt was good with my subconscious, with my soul, with my
Mm,
spirit, but I wasn't willing to acknowledge that. I thought, okay, well, I'll just perform work better. I'll stay at work until 11 p.m., 12 a.m. I'll come to work early, do more work, and
mm,
see if I can get things done. But the results were all the same. My work was suffering.
yeah.
I wasn't doing well mentally. I wasn't doing well physically, and my life started falling apart. um I stopped wanting to be around people. I
Mm,
became a bit of a recluse. I didn't want to be associated with anything that had to do with work, whether that would be, coworkers or friends or anything that had to do with that. But the one thing that I did want to be associated with was food. And it wasn't just, your normal everyday healthy sort of meals. um it was as junky as you can possibly get.
mm,
I'm talking during the day. I would say on the weekend specifically, I could go through a whole large Domino's pizza. I'm talking, meat lovers, pepperoni, beef, sausage, extra
mhm,
cheese, light on the sauce. I remember all these orders. And, that wouldn't be enough. Donuts, I needed four. Give
mm,
me glaze, give me those big honey buns that you see like at Giant. Give me some of that. Give me some soda, right? I need to drink all this down. And this was an everyday thing. And we'll see. I mean, when I say every day, I'm not saying, I'm not over exaggerating.
yeah.
It's in my bank statements. I use my card. It was literally Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm getting meals like this.
Yeah.
Maybe I replaced the pizza with a bucket of chicken.
Mhm,
Maybe I replaced the bucket of chicken or the pizza with Eggos or French toast. I would take the French toast out of the box, put it in a frying pan, put oil in that frying pan, put four slices of those big Texas toast, French toast in a plate, cut it up, pour a half bottle of syrup in it, watch it swim, and then eat it.
mhm,
That used to be my day. And on the weekends it got worse because there was nobody here. I was by myself. And so I had the opportunity to go crazy without anybody judging me because no one would be able to see me. So I'm sitting here doing the same thing, downing all this food. And the one reason why I kept doing that was because I knew deep down that I wasn't necessarily killing myself, but I was slowly taking years off of my life, right?
mm,
I knew that eventually this will all catch up to me. It'll be
yeah.
a heart attack, it'll be me not waking up one day, clogged arteries, whatever. But at least then I wouldn't have to worry about the stresses that the world is bringing upon me. So I kept doing that over and over again. And the one saving grace I think that I had during this terrible time for me was I would go into this food coma where I would just eat all this, go upstairs, close my room, turn on college football,
Mhm,
pass out, and I'd be asleep from, noon when it started, until about 6:37, when the last couple games are beginning.
mhm,
And after that, I would just be up for the rest of the night. There would be times where I'd be sitting in my room with a liter of soda, just crying because
Mm,
it again, I knew what I was doing, but I didn't know why I was doing it. I didn't really understand exactly what was pushing me to want to not be here anymore. Why was I trying to run away from the issues that I had? And it turned out, on that same birthday, my 30th birthday, when we spent that moment out in Brookside Gardens,
yeah.
that was my moment of truth. I mean, that was the moment I came out and said all of these things that I was doing because number one, before I was ashamed, I didn't want to let anybody in so that they would see these things about me because it wasn't something I was prepared to share. But then on top of that, I knew that if I were to share it with you, it would be something that I can now officially hold myself accountable. It's something that I can say, okay, here is the first step, right?
Yes.
Letting somebody know, letting somebody I trust know about what I'm going through, about the insecurities I have, about where I need to get to. This is that first step. And I knew that after that moment that my life would begin to change. I knew that understanding what habits are and understanding how they work, I knew that there was an opportunity for me to manipulate the formation of habits to be able to benefit me instead of curse me. And
Mm,
since I was able to find that guiding light, since I was able to have that conversation with you, I'm in a much better headspace. I've recently got married. I'm doing better at a job I'm at. We're doing this podcast, we're building this brand. All of that, all of that really helps, and
mhm,
it's so beneficial for me, because I'm able to really breathe. I'm able to de-stress more and utilize different habits to replace that one of stress eating. So I can't thank you enough for being there during my lowest moment that I've had in the 31 years I've been alive. Because I don't know, man, if I did not have that moment, number one, I don't know if I'd be here now, but number two, I'd be in a much worse place than I am now. So I must thank you for that.
brother. Well, it's a pleasure to and an honor to be able to be there for you in that moment. I remember it vividly. And it's one of those things, folks, when you think you know enough of someone, but you really don't know
Mm,
sides of them because they show you what they want you to see. And it's a lot of the times because we are afraid to face that part of ourselves for ourselves in that moment, especially in alone. Being alone is the hardest time to deal with those truth in ourselves. And Jay, it took a lot of courage for you to share that part with me. And as we reflected on it, there were signs that were there. There were signs at different moments and times we go out and hang out. We eat and we drink, we eat and as we said before, prior to to go on live for this episode, we're just reflecting on those things
mm,
and there was moments like what you said about pizza and different things that we'd eaten in large consumptions you'd be able to do, or just like with, for example, with Chipotle, put away whole burritos, maybe hell, maybe eat
yeah,
like a whole one, would
yeah,
probably eat another one if you wanted to.
yeah,
And back then, I mean, I think back in those times, especially, we were so big about bulking, right? We were trying to build
yeah,
that mass
yeah, yeah.
and but in truth, it wasn't a way of like dealing with hurt. And for you, it's more, I would say it's definitely more depth for you as variation is my reasons is going through that as well, but hearing you share your story and what you went through is something that again, I'm just grateful to have been a part of in that moment and understanding the importance of it, because we'd rather have you here than have you not be here.
Mhm.
So understanding what that represented in that moment and the way it carried, and as I told you at that point, brother, I'm here to help hold you accountable because I
Yeah,
want you to grow too. As
absolutely,
much as I'm growing, you're growing too.
absolutely.
And something about those 30s, something about it's a reawakening of like where you
It is.
are,
Yeah.
reevaluation of your life. You just see things look different.
Yep.
But
Very true.
it's a pleasure just to be here for you, brother.
Yeah.
I'll continue to be here for you just as you are here for me, and
Absolutely.
on that journey as well. I do have a question that I'd like to ask though.
Yeah.
And a pivotal part of that process. And when you recognized, okay, this is what's going on with me, and setting those affirmations to kind of help you, or to realize that you need to have some sort of process in place to help keep you accountable. And I would like to just kind of know what was some of those things. Like, so, as you know, I spoke and I speak heavily on what I build and what's helping me for my mantra, and
Sure.
the affirmations I set into stone for me, that I hold myself accountable. Where, look, I look in the mirror and I say this to me every day. Even as I work out, I say it
Mm,
to myself as I'm hitting my push-ups, and I'm hitting, maybe I'm getting like 200, 250, and I'm hurting and I'm hurting, and I'm pushing it
yeah.
out. And I'm like, I'm so damn
Yeah.
worth it. This has got to get done. And I recite each one of them. So I earn every part of that, and I hold
Mm,
myself accountable in my alone time. So
right.
it's important for people to be able to identify what that part represents when you're by yourself, because that's when you do the most work. So for you, in
Absolutely.
those moments that you share, those intimate moments of yourself where you're in your room and in your headspace, and where you're going through the emotions with your leader, and you're going through the emotions of trying to process what's happening to you, and when you came to your awakening and what was happening, like,
Hmm.
what methods did you start to do to hold yourself accountable, and what affirmations did you set in that process that you're still utilizing up until this point to help stay consistent and stay strong, and grow through what you've been going through?
Yeah, I mean that's a great question. I mean, for me, I think it would start with actually understanding why I was in the position I was. Like, what was the true source of that stress? Where was that coming from? What was the cue, so to speak, to really trigger me eating the way I was eating? And it turned out that I wasn't making progress towards the things that I truly wanted to do. I was so engulfed, or so I was drowning in aspects of my life that I didn't really want to participate in, whether it was the job type, whether it was the location, whether it was where I was at the time in my life. I wasn't satisfied with. So I knew that I had to take action towards getting where I truly wanted to be. So, the very first thing, especially when it came to stress eating, because that was the thing that I discovered being such a terrible habit that was leading me the wrong way. It was, how can I possibly stay away from that distraction of stress eating? How could I remove myself from from those types of food choices? And it turned out that I was supposed to create a habit around where I was driving. Now, initially, when I was going home, when I'm going up through exit 15B where I live, I pass by a plethora of food places, restaurants, fast foods, all that stuff, Taco Bell, McDonald's. So I knew that because I was able to see those places and knew that they existed, that after a long day at work, after feeling like, man, I don't know if I can do this anymore, I would go there and get that type of food to bring home. And then it would go through that same routine. And that was the same routine every single day. So the one change that I made is, instead of going down 15B, I went to exit 16. This exit, you're literally passing through neighborhoods, you're passing by houses, and give or take, I mean, it's about a minute more of a drive to get to the house, but it was a minute more that I saved on my life because I no longer went through those other routes. I
Mm.
no longer was distracted or pulled into this bad way of relieving the stress that I had. I now had the opportunity to go down a quiet road. It was nice and dark. There was hardly any traffic, and allow myself to unwind before I get to the house, before I allowed that bad habit of indulging into bad food to come back again. I was able to go a different route and take another route. And the other aspect of that too, because I talked about, not wanting to be here, but not necessarily wanting to end it all. One of the things that I have put on my phone, and I know I've said this on some of the other podcast episodes too, but every single time I open my phone and I read my evening mantra, or sorry, my morning mantra, it says, "You may die tomorrow." That's how it
Mm.
starts off.
Yeah.
You may die tomorrow. So every single time I see that, I know that I have a destiny to fulfill here because I'm up. I'm able to read it. If I wasn't, then I guess my destiny was fulfilled and I'm no longer breathing air on this planet. But since I
Mm,
still am able to open my phone and read that, I know that I have a duty to myself. I owe to myself, my family, my friends, all of my loved ones around me to live the life that I know I should be living, to follow that destiny, to understand exactly what's pulling me in order for me to move towards it. The other thing that has helped me was deep breathing. I know we talked about it in the last episode
yes.
to allow people to release stress, but that 448 method for breathing has helped me tremendously. Before, what happened with stress eating is that I would eat blindly. I would sit, I would watch something, whether it's Netflix, college football, whatever, and I would just eat. I would just consume food. I
Yeah.
wouldn't. It would be so unconscious to me that I'm eating that, like I said, I'm finishing whole pizzas, I'm finishing donuts, I'm finishing liters of soda. So instead of indulging in that sort of relief, I am now being relieved from deep breathing, from meditation, from becoming centered, from being present, and that allows me to unwind in a much different way. That allows me to relieve myself in a much different way. Where instead of comatose at the end of the session, I'm energized and I'm ready to continue to move forward. I'm ready
Mhm.
to conquer the rest of the day, whatever, regardless what I need to do. I'm in a much better headspace than I was when I could barely even move or breathe.
Mm. Those are really, really fantastic methods that you develop for yourself to help get through that. And here's the thing. Uh, get through that phase, in those seasons, because, as we go through these processes, and we deal with these variations of stress, it's really important to recognize that you have to stay consistent and identifying in what your needs are now to help you persevere through what you are encountering. It's
Yep.
really important to understand that it may be adjusted. You may have to tweak it as you go.
Right.
As a matter to be factual, you will have to adjust that as you
Absolutely.
go along. And you don't want to stay stagnant in that part of you, that you get to a point that what worked last year may not work now, right? So
Yep.
I would imagine, for you, Jay, that's, what you're doing. And I'll even point out a really cool fact in what you're saying, and how factual it is for you. And my
Mhm.
observation of holding you accountable when observing. You recall we went out to, was it last week? We went out to the Caribbean restaurant.
Yeah,
What,
Caribbean
what's
flavor.
Caribbean favorite? Shout out
Yeah,
to
yeah.
it.
Shout out to 'em.
Where's that in
It's Germantown. Yep.
Germantown,
Yep.
man. That's just a side note, guys. If
Yeah.
you're ever in Germantown, Caribbean flavors,
Yeah.
wonderful restaurant. If you're looking for something authentic of Caribbean cuisine, that's the place to go.
Amazing food.
Um, Great
Amazing food.
vibe and everything.
Yep.
So we just had to put that out there because it was so damn good.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the point of the message that I was trying to get to
Yeah.
was that, so we were sitting there, we were having a good time, and we were eating, and there was a point that Jay, we were talking, and I observed it, where
Mhm.
Jay was eating, and he ate a portion of what he had. He had a good, decent hearty size of it, but he ate a good portion of whatever he had ordered,
Mhm.
and he was like, you know what, I'm gonna stop eating this here now, and I'm gonna save this, and I'm gonna eat this with it was something that you referenced you were gonna use to cook for the next day, to eat
Yeah.
part of the dish with, but it
Yeah.
was healthy. So it was like, I observed it and I said, I love that. That's part of the process. That's when you've done so much work on you that
Yeah.
it becomes habitual, and you don't
Uh-huh.
even recognize that you're in the season of doing it. And I saw you do it, and I just thought to myself, hell of a great job, dude.
Hey,
That's how you stay consistent with
I
yourself.
was I was right about to say that. I don't even remember. I remember saying it now, but
Yep.
it didn't hit me at the time like, oh,
No.
I'm making a healthy choice. It's
No.
just like this is what I'm doing. This is how
Exactly.
I live. This is me.
This is you.
So it's so crazy when you really understand who you are and you find out what your identity is, you can then live your true life. So yeah, I mean that is a perfect example, and that is something I do now. That is
Yeah.
truly a habit, whether it's there or even at home. I said, nope, I am where I am. I'm done. I put
Yep.
it in the fridge, and I'll come back to it later.
Yep.
So I definitely, those methods that I mentioned before, and your observation of that is proof that the work is still being done. Look, I mean, it's a lifelong thing, you know. I mean,
Hmm.
habits never fully die, you replace them. So
Yes.
me being able to replace that bad habit of what I used to do, indulging into, doing meditation and reading my morning and evening mantras, prayer, all deep breathing, all of those things have helped me because I've been able to replace those bad habits with these good ones.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, and it was apparent for me in that moment,
Yeah.
just reflecting, where it just made sense, and I was really, really happy for you, proud of your
Yeah.
efforts, and it showed. It was actions without the necessity of words, and it was really, really dope to see you do that.
I
And it's
appreciate
worth
it.
noticing. And that's the thing, guys. When you have a support system that's around you, that we you look for these things, not to find fault or to find methods of constructive criticism for any reason,
Right.
just to be there. And it just so happened we were just one of our outings that we do, occasionally we do our outings, and we just was having a good time, and it was something I noted,
Mm,
and something of a gift wrap to let you know when the time was right, and this was one of those times.
I
So it's
appreciate
like
that.
you always stay watching, and you care, and you put that sort of thing into fruition, and
Mm,
at the end of the day, we're here to all support each other, and supporting another person's healthy habits that they create for themselves,
yep.
and holding themselves accountable. What more can you hope for someone?
Exactly.
That they
Exactly.
just do the same for you, and that's what we do.
Yep.
So we hope that you have support systems out there, guys, that hold you accountable, and that you hold accountable, and that you help to keep in line with what their goals and aspirations to be better for themselves are. As long as it's not detrimental to them, be there, be the part of the process, because it does help with the stress factor. It helps lower it. It helps prevent those things from happening. And to just be very wary of encouraging things that wouldn't be healthy for that person, whatever it may be. And
Right.
ultimately, it's really, really, really important to be observative of the company you keep, because usually that's a reflection of where you are in your life at that point.
Very true.
And that's
Very
something I
true.
had to learn. That's something I had to learn, G, the hard way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
again, proud of you for what you've done, man, and your journey and your story. And this is
Yeah.
something we really wanted to share that light on. Um, this week, really just let Jay share that part with you,
Yeah.
because I feel like this is something that was deep rooted, and we how we are, guys. We put that out there to
Yep.
share who we are, share our journey, share our life events and our story fearlessly, because we seek change for ourselves, we seek
Absolutely.
growth, and we really want the best for us and for each other and for
Right.
you too. So
Absolutely.
thank you, Jay, so much for being willing to step up to the podium and just let it be. Have the lights on you and just speak your truth. And to be able to do that, I think that's something else we need to address before we get closer to a conclusion here today. It's like, what does that
Sure.
feel like now, being able to be in your truth at all times? Because that's an affirmation in itself. That's one of
Yeah.
mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Protect my state of being, stay awakened. So you're in that place where that's what you're doing. You're
Yeah.
giving the truth of that part of yourself. It's almost as if a conversation with yourself in ways, to be
Absolutely.
able to face that part that we all have as in us, where it's that voice of doubt, that part of us that's in the dark, deepest parts of the corners of our being, and to keep it at bay. And that's
Mhm.
what you're doing now. So what does that feel like to be able to be in that place?
It feels powerful. It really does, because you feel total control over your life and your decision making. Because I always say, never spend time on things that you can't control. Don't worry about those things. But this was something that I could control, and understanding that I had complete control over my nutrition, over what I ate, how much I ate, when I ate, why I was eating a certain thing. All of that allowed me to get to that point. And all of those things I mentioned prior, whether it was meditation, deep breathing, prayer, all of that allowed me to be one with myself. I really needed to understand who I was. I needed to understand what my body needed, in order for it to be fulfilled in a healthy way. And it wasn't until I truly sat down and I asked myself, is this something I need? Is this something that's going to be beneficial to not just Achromous, but to myself. Is this going to be beneficial to where we want to be, where I want to be in the future? Is this in line with my goals? Is it, right? All those questions I had to ask myself. And if it wasn't for me. I started looking at my body as more of a temple than a dumpster. And when I started doing that, I stopped taking in all the trash and I started providing what my body required to heal. And that is exactly where I am. And again, every day you're going to be tempted, right? You're always going to pass by those restaurants. You're probably going to be out with your friends sometimes and you haven't eaten, and you may be at a fast food joint, and your friends may they're happy hours, right? We work, right? So there's
Yeah.
all that too. And you might get it. Do you want a beer? No, you know what? I drink water. I'll get a water. You know what? I'll get some sparkling water. I'll get something else, right? I'll get some tea.
Yeah.
So making that decision and being in charge of your decisions, knowing that you know exactly who you are, being in one with your identity, knowing that you have power over your decisions, it feels so great. It releases so much tension from you, and you are now living in your truth, because there isn't anything out there outside of you who can influence you to make certain decisions that your body or your mind or your spirit do not want to make. So as I continue to go down this path, this new lifestyle, it has allowed me to to understand exactly just how strong I am, not physically, but mentally and
Mhm.
emotionally as well. Where a couple years ago I didn't think I had it in me. Now I know I do. And the world is ours, man.
That part right there.
Hmm.
Yep. Manifesting your reality, shaping it
Absolutely.
for what you want it to be.
Absolutely.
A lot of times we say the universe brings to us, what's for us, but a lot of
Mhm.
times we mold the universe that we choose to live in.
Very
So
true.
you're molding it, man. You're molding it, brother. And I'm proud of you. And I'm sure the Achromous community is proud of you. I'm sure anyone that's watching this is proud of your efforts, because you're so damn worth it. And you're proving it to you every single day of your life,
Absolutely.
man. And that's all that you can ask for is a brother, is a support system. Love you deeply, man.
Love you too, bro.
Proud of you, man. Proud of you.
Absolutely.
We're gonna keep that going. We're gonna keep that fight there because that's what a
Absolutely.
support system do. That's what
Yep.
everyone out there is gonna do,
Yep.
right?
Absolutely.
So we're gonna open the floor this time, guys. We're gonna make sure that we let everyone out there know that you matter, and we want to make sure that you are able to share your story with us too. Be fearless, and you love yourself enough to take that step. Be courageous and spread that word, spread what that looks like for you. And if this is something that you've had a problem with as well, share what you've done, share
Hmm.
what affirmations you have that you've created for yourself in this process that's been sustainable for you. Share parts of it that you've been having difficulties with, that you're trying to still work through, because it's a process, it's a journey. Life is a journey, and on it, you have to realize that it's a journey of self-love, self-worth, self-care. Mental health awareness is big, and this is what we're
Hmm.
preaching, this is what we're giving, and this is what this movement is about. So just as fearless as Jay was throughout this entire episode, be fearless in you. Know that you're worth it as much as we believe you are, as much as we believe we are, because you are. So we're gonna open that floor. So DM us.
Yep.
However you see us, we're everywhere. So however
Yep.
you can reach us, don't be afraid to do so. Just let us know, and we want to be sure to be in communication with you. We want to be sure to continue this topic outside this episode with just Jay and myself. We want to be able to hold the ground and converse about these sort of topics with the community, because
Absolutely.
this is how you build healthy habits,
Hmm.
that are sustainable, and you do it together.
Absolutely.
So be sure to do that, guys. So Jay, where do we go from here, buddy?
Man, look, I gotta say it's a miracle that we're here doing this at this time. I know it's a beautiful Sunday when everyone's hearing this, but life is so precious. The next day is never guaranteed. And sometimes I just sit there and I get tears in my eyes, because I'm wondering what I did to deserve air to breathe today. You know,
Deep.
sometimes
It's
it
deep.
sometimes it is that deep.
Yeah.
Because you're like, you think of all the crap that you go through on a regular day, all the things that may stop you, all the stresses in the world, that may be on you in all the different ways that you take out your stress.
Yeah.
But to stop and think that I've got air in my lungs, I've got vision, I've got taste, I've got hearing, there's a roof over my head, there's a wife I got upstairs, there's life, there's godchildren, there's a brother, there's friends, there's family, there's all of that around me, all of that love, all of that strength that I'm surrounded by. Sometimes you just got to sit back and understand how blessed you are, because there are people who don't have that. There are people who are missing one or more of those things I just mentioned that
Mm.
can never get it back. And sometimes, even though life just flashes by us, sometimes I think we do need to take some time to think about the things that we do have versus the things we don't, and understand that things that are for us will come, things that aren't won't, and it is in our best interests, right? I mean, we might not think of it, but who are we? We're not
Yeah.
leading this. We're
Yeah.
not leading this life. You know what I'm saying? This is our destiny being fulfilled, but our destiny is already written. We're just walking it. We're just walking that path. So that's what we do every single day. And I got to say that from that day that I talked to you a couple years ago on my 30th to now, I am proud to continue to be walking this path, to continue to know who I am, to continue to grow, to continue to be true to myself and stay that way, to continue to fully understand that I matter and I'm so damn worth it. And that this Achromous community is growing and it's going to be beautiful as it already is now.
Mhm.
And to knowing that there's so much trust, so much love. There are strangers out there that talk about this podcast, to
Yes.
know that there is one life that we have changed. That is beautiful to me. That is strength. That is power. Because if we did not create this Will C, that would not have happened for that person. That person may not even be here.
Yeah.
We are providing strength to people that need it at the worst times. And then at the best times, there's something they can lean on, which is a community that supports them, a community that supports athletes who matter. And there's nothing else out there like this.
Absolutely. Well said, Jay. I couldn't put it better myself. That's who we are.
Absolutely.
This is what we do. This is why we
Mhm.
do this. This is why we grind and we make the time to do this and be here, because if we reach just one person, then we're doing what I hope someone would do for us.
Absolutely.
That's what it's about. We just want to spread that
Absolutely.
out through this community and keep it going, keep it growing.
Yeah. Absolutely. And the one thing that I would say that has really propelled me into who I've become now was seeing your transformation. I know we talked about what I've gone through and the strides I've made, but your transformation is nothing short of a miracle. The things that you have had to go through from then to now, the amount of growth that you've done with yourself, the amount of bravery that it takes to be true to yourself, to be vulnerable, to understand that you're growing, to understand that you'll never be who you used to be. You're a completely different person and you continue to grow each and every day. We have to dedicate yet another episode to the 21-3 method.
Yeah.
I
Thank you, buddy.
feel as though it is the only thing that we can do, especially because it's episode 40. I believe that this 21-3 method, knowing that we're just about 12, 13 weeks away from the launch of this,
Yeah.
knowing that this can literally transform somebody's life. And I'm not just saying that because we're in the personal development industry. This isn't an ad, right? This we're
Mhm.
giving you this for free. This podcast is free. But the one thing that I must say about the 21-3 method is that in 21 days, you can build a healthy habit, something that will be habitual, something that you can use and change yourself and completely transform yourself into a different lifestyle that you couldn't imagine you would be capable of doing. As I didn't imagine I'd be capable of leaving that stress eating cycle I was in. Now this is where I am. That's where Will C is. And the 21-3 method is the reason for this. So next week, episode 40 on the Achromous podcast, next Sunday, 9:30, will be yet another update of the 21-3 method. The one method out there that requires action, requires patience. It requires dedication. It requires a lot more than you thought you would be capable of providing. But at the end of those 21 days, you will be a new man or woman. And I can't wait to talk more about it, man.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited. We live it. Um,
Literally.
we live it, and even now in this new season of mine, I'm utilizing it for newer parts, things that I've had to break through and grow through, and the most important part of it is accountability. Be able to face
Very
myself
true.
every day because I am not who I used to be, and then I'm not who I was yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I am. I can only be the best version of myself through my choosing of actions and accountability,
That
and
part.
that's where I choose to live in. And it's not easy, but nothing in life that's worth it comes easy. And
Absolutely.
most importantly, you should never see it that way. You
Mm-hmm.
should see it as I am so damn worth it.
Yep.
I matter.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll take action
Mm-hmm.
and showcase to myself just how worth it I am to me. So I know what joy looks like. Because
Absolutely.
at the end of that process, when I got to the point of realizing what had transpired, I found joy
Mm.
in me. See,
Wow.
joy is something that's attainable. Happiness may come and go, but joy
Right.
is something you hold on to. And once you know what that feeling feels like I saw in you
You.
throughout the entire episode, you could see it in your eyes, in your demeanor, being the confidence, the poise, your peace, your joy, which
Yeah.
you've attained in this
Absolutely.
journey, and you sustain it through growth. 21-3 method is going to provide that to you. And it's not something that is just being stated for the sake of it. This is no gimmick. This is no selling of a promotion. This is none of that. This is something that's factual. This is something that has been literal blood, sweat, tears, simply because we thought that we mattered enough.
Mm.
That's it, even in this
Mm.
moment right now. And I
Mm.
think that you matter. I'm sure Jay feels the same way. Well, we
Absolutely.
wouldn't be doing this at all, because then we wouldn't know that we mattered enough to begin to believe in ourselves enough to do this, to share these messages.
The beauty of growth. Mm.
Experience, it's life
Yep.
experience. It's not even about age, it's
Yep.
about experience,
Yep.
and being
Absolutely.
willing to grow through those experiences of what you've encountered through life events, and to be able to share that, to make a difference. The
Absolutely.
21-3 method is going to help get you along the way to start addressing those issues that you have, that you
Mhm.
may not say out loud, but and it's time for you to start doing that work. So we do need to address this conversation again.
Absolutely. I for one cannot wait to see people fully transform their lives permanently. There there are a few joys that you get in this world, and I know we were just talking about it, but the joy that you would hear in somebody's voice, or you see in people's faces, maybe they're tearing up telling you how you helped them through their life, or how you saved their life so that they can be there for their kids. There's nothing better than that. Nothing better in this world than that. So next Sunday, it is going to be a very important conversation that we're going to have. And the 21-3 method is something that I know for a fact will change the lives of anyone who opens that, takes action with it, and stays consistent. Until next Sunday, it's your boy, J.H. Gibbons.
And we'll see.